sorry we have to get together so often. But obviously, today is obviously big news in the for what's going on around the University of Louisville and our basketball program, but even in the history of our program. That, as we talked about before, we've been fortunate that we've had very few head coaches over here in a long time, but over the last 6 months we've had a new one in David, who's done done a really admirable job, not just with the kids, but I think in certainly with you guys, the media, with the administration. He's been terrific in providing a lot of leadership. We certainly produced 22 games, and along the way, you never know what can happen when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids. And he's done a nice job in that regard. And we had a good conversation about that today and where that's going to take him and in his next role and in coaching, which I know he's anxious to think about. So, today, as most of you know, we sat down and had a discussion talking about where he is and where we are and frankly what we can do to help him. I was pretty clear that we're encouraged by certainly what we saw here. He wasn't expecting to jump from the third seat to the first seat, and not many people are at any university, particularly the level of program and scrutiny that we have at the University of Louisville. It is an elite program. It's going to remain an elite program. And our opportunity right now is to hire an elite coach to maintain that. We certainly didn't make the NCAA this year, but and everybody knows what our expectations are much higher that compete for national championships. They're difficult to come by. We've only had one in the last 32 years, and it got snagged away from us. So we're going to work hard to get back in that circle, and we're going to do it right away. So. We have a lot of talent on this team. I've spent a lot of time trying to stay close to those kids, stay close to their parents, and gauge their interest in being here. As most know, I just came from speaking with the team and fielding any questions they want to ask me. I'm generally wide open on those things without trying to say like who my lead candidate is and what the process is. I'm as clear with them as I'll be with you that not really interested in talking a whole about the process today, other than it's alive, and they have their own feelings about where it is. They're more interested in timing as much as anything else. But and we'll maybe get to some of that in some of the questions. But today, from what occurred at the end of September to where we are, I certainly didn't expect to be in this role back then, along with David. And I've enjoyed working with him. He's provided us, as I said, a great face to this program, and he's got a terrific future in front of him. I know that he's learned a lot, provided a lot, and probably has a ton of takeaways. I think once any player, any coach gets away from a season, they do a lot of reflection, and while you're in the season, it's difficult to grow sometimes. And I know that his career is going to grow after this, and as I mentioned before, he and I talk more about as calls come in related to his career, how we can handle that and how we can foster his career going forward. He was a part of this program as a player. He's been a part of it as in operations and an assistant. He'll always be a part of this program, and much like we shine the camera on Denny Crum and many of our terrific alumni of this basketball program, and the fans cheer, they'll do the same for David for many years to come. And I look forward to seeing him around the program. But today we are going in a different direction as we pursue the opportunity to get us an elite coach and return this program to where we want it to be. There's a lot of interest, as you guys know. It's going to create for great talk over the next probably week to 10 days, or how long it takes us to get to that point. And we'll do our best to try to land the best candidate. That's all we can really do at this point. In terms of the one thing I will say is, in terms of level of interest, it's high. I think we're so close to it here at Louisville, in the community and at the university, that we're hypersensitive about our own issues. And I would tell you that the candidates see this as a long-term run. They don't see it as thinking about the next year or two, or very short-sighted. Most of them are thinking about this in a way that they're in a good spot, and they see this as a better spot. And it may seem odd for you to hear that because you're in it every day, but I assure you that the interest level is high. And I think that we're excited to hear people say they want to be a part of it, which is part of the criteria. They can love this place like we love this place, and they see themselves here for a very long time, and they have the same aspirations, and more importantly, the same ability to get us back to that elite level where we can compete for those championships. So we've got through a rugged season. It wasn't the success that we would have liked to have had. We had changes and things that occurred. We had games that didn't go our way. But in the end, we're at a point where I think it came to a kind of a, I hate to say, a peaceful close here as we get to the end of the year with the last 3 NIT games at home. I certainly enjoyed the energy that we had from our fans. It's the beauty of where I've sat as a fan and where I get to sit as the interim AD is the passion of these fans. It's exciting to see how engaged they are. I got thick skin, so I don't mind the issues that they want to bring up or things they want to say. It's because they care, and they want to be a part of something, and they want to see it get better. We've been spoiled, and you know, I'd like to see this get back to where we expect it to be. So with that, I'll open to questions.
Vince, you talk about the interest. Because you are so close to this and you've been so close, did it surprise you at all once this began, the interest level and how high it is?
Not at all. Not at all, because I think there was interest initially when we named David the interim, and if anything, I think just over time it seems maybe people had more time to think about it, but the interest is there. These are great quality coaches.
Are you going to hire this coach? Is there a committee? Is it?
No, I think that the way we've played this out, if it came, you know, we're up against the AD selection. I think probably best suited that the sitting AD at that time make this call. I mean, I think we're close to it anyways, whether it be myself or someone else. All due respect, I don't know that's going to change the feelings of these coaches. I think whether it's Scooby-Doo or Vince Tyra, I think they're interested in taking this job.
What are Scooby-Doo's qualifications?
High intellect, 48 vertical.
What would you tell coaches who ask you that question? I mean, they want to know who they're going to be working for if you are beginning the process, at least right now.
Yeah, I can't really. Yeah, I think it's a good question, Kid. But I'm straightforward with them. I just tell them that, you know, my interest level is high. There's a process going on. I try to educate them as far as I know what the process is. It's certainly, I don't know every step or every candidate in that, but I do know there's a timetable on it they're trying to work to resolve it. I know we've all been clear at the end of the month, which is ideal. It's one I requested as well because the Final Four is there, and I'd like to see our head coach on a national forum in studio wearing red talking about how excited they are and where they're going to take this program.
Vince, when you say the candidates who are interested, to what level have you gotten into discussion with candidates?
A little. It's now happening, right? Because I've tried to ignore the process myself, and out of respect to David, and not really get going on it. But it's certainly active today.
There seems to be uncertainty with the FBI and NCAA. Do you feel an obligation or a strategic interest in offering a longer contract than you might otherwise?
Well, I think I'm being thoughtful about that in terms of if there were things that came up along the way during their tenure here as to how we would address that and give them comfort that we're, if we need to extend it or what have you, comfortable we're going to be in that discussion.
To be clear, you're not looking for a patch coach to get through the next 2-3 years. You're
Absolutely not.
Right.
Vince, you've done this so many times in the business world and the rumors with coaching searches that go on. Will you try to, I know you like social media, will you stay off and try to focus on, I mean, and not worry about what people are saying and where you might be eating dinner or doing things?
Yeah, I just kind of live my life, you know, and on that front, I'm generally one way, is more just being helpful or being forward and support of the teams. And when it comes to social media, I don't want to get into a lot of exchanges, although, you know, it's easy to try to get people to bait you. I'm just tone deaf to it. I try to stay focused on what we can control. You know, I know people are sensitive about it. I think yesterday was quite funny when I heard I was in Cincinnati, but if they had checked the parking garage, my car was there all day. And I'm eating Panda Express at my desk yesterday out of the sack. So, you know, I didn't go anywhere. I think there's going to be a lot of that's going to happen. I just, you know, you try to work through it, but it's not going to phase what I'm doing. I think, you know, a lot of these things, you know, I'm thoughtful on a process. I've been in process for recruiting C-level people, and I would consider this definitely a C-level person.
Would you lean on people? I mean, you know, your circle as far as anybody in basketball that you might know, and how will you do that?
Yeah, I think you'd probably be surprised what my circle is. I mean, most people don't know that I've been living in the background of these things in Louisville, but I'm a little more connected. I'm not gonna say I'm the most connected. I think that's one of the areas that you think about in this role. But I have been here 6 months and been to conferences and certainly been involved with our ACC as well as some of what I consider some of my peers in the ACC to discuss this. It's no secret that this process was going to happen. So there's been discussion for 6 months.
Would you prefer a coach who has been a head coach already?
Yes.
What do you like about those types of candidates?
Just experience. I mean, I think, on a personal example, being a CEO versus a CEO is a big difference. Being a CEO and being a chairman is a big difference. I think being an assistant coach, being a head coach is a big difference. We've seen that, and I guess I would say that I don't think our programs today, based on where this athletic department's gone under Tom's leadership to get us to where we are in the ACC, that we're stepping stone. All these sports and these head coaches, much like when we attacked the lacrosse coach situation, we need an elite head coach. We're not a stepping stone, so we're going to look for an elite head coach here.
How important is this hire? You know how fragile this fan base is right now. And obviously, whoever the athletic director is going to be a pretty important hire for them moving forward.
Yeah, I think, I recognize the importance of it. I mean, all you got to do is look at the history books here. And I think I recognize the expectations. If I was still sitting in my seats, I'd have high expectations, probably sending the same emails that I get from fans saying, pick this guy, or they stop me in the corridor at Yum who their favorite is. It's just part of it. And it's not going to be unanimous. There's no way you could be unanimous in this. I don't know that we've had that in really any of the picks we've had in the major sports historically. And in this one, it's going to be the same. But I do think that people would understand once we get there why we chose who we chose and how they fit the culture of this university, how they're going to run a clean program, and how they're going to win.
Does style of play enter your thinking for a coach? About what style he generally plays?
I try not to get style too much into it, because I don't want it to be my personal, preference of style as much as how I think best suits us. And frankly, I can look at the talent we have, but you got to kind of just look at the longer term view of what do we think is right. But we've enjoyed an exciting style of fast-paced, pressing and so forth. And from there I'll think about it, Paul. But I don't know it's just the highest criteria today.
Did you what sort of conversations do you have with the kids who were deciding whether or not to stay based upon who gets hired?
Yeah, just what their concerns are, what their thoughts are. Those are private conversations. It's the same I would have with their parents. Just like just being out front, being communicative. I approach them, they approach me, just to let them ask what they want and try to address as best I can. They're intrigued, they're interested. I'm sure they're all weighing what they've got going on. We've got a couple seniors who are leaving. And Honest and Q sat with us while I talked to the rest of the team. They're a part of this program. They graduated, they're going to graduate here, and they're done with their playing careers. They're still part of this program. That's the unique thing about it, and why we show video of my dad's team. Had Phil Rollins last night of the 56 NIT team. They're still part of this program.
So what level do you start this process until whether you're named the full-time athletic director and they remove your interim tag or someone else is hired? What can you do in between now and then?
No, I don't want to get into that, Kim, but I'm clear on my authority on what I can do in this role and how I would go about attracting someone and what resources I have to do that.
Coach Beard and Jerry Eves have been pretty vocal about minority hiring. Do you expect to interview any African-American candidates?
Yeah, I think it's part of the process. I think there's more African-Americans that are head coaches today. There'll be more for good reason and should be more for good reason. But I think that that's something I've got to consider going into it. I'm obviously going to pick what I think is the best candidate, but I think that assessing that is definitely a part of it.
What input has Greg Postal had, whether it was on the decision to not continue with David and this decision?
Yeah, I think Dr. Postal's been supportive of the decisions I've made today. I'm crystal clear on him on where my thinking is and making sure that I understand the university's guidelines and boundaries on this as we make these kind of decisions and move forward and where approvals sit and so forth. But he's been supportive of my decisions to date. I don't know that we've had any disagreements to this point.
What kind of financial availability is there for this job, do you think?
We have a $100+ million annual budget in athletics.
So you'll be good.
Was there anything David could have done to get this job?
I think that's water under the bridge at this point, Ken. I mean, I'm proud of what he's done. I think he's done some good things. I think he's learned from some of the things. I mean, I listen to all the, to his comments, post-game comments, and talk to him and so forth, and I think he recognizes where he learned and was learning on and looking back on games and so forth. But no, I think we need, I think it's less about, did David do anything wrong, and more about what I think the needs are of the program.
Given the kind of the cloud overhanging the program, would you tell a coach, candidate, about the possibility of an NCAA death penalty?
Yeah, the possibility of death penalty, I'd say, is very low. I think the beauty of this nowadays, Tim, is they're pretty clear on the NCAA bylaws themselves. They get trained just like all of our coaches do. They understand when you're on probation, if you make mistakes, what potential ramifications are. I think most of them are, since our particular case was exposed more than others, they have more information than most would on maybe some other schools.
Mm-hmm. You've got the whole Brian Bowen situation unresolved. In a probationary period. I mean,
yeah.
By definition, you could be vulnerable, right?
Well, I think the fact that we're on probation and stubbed our toe again and had a situation, to what degree the facts will eventually unfold and tell us, but look, they've got plenty of information on their own without me having to divulge any of the facts that I can't divulge to them.
Is there any guidance the NCAA can give you just so that you have more information to use with candidates, or?
The NCAA or the FBI? Because the NCAA doesn't know a thing. They don't know any more than I do. I mean, probably maybe even less. I mean, I think it's an FBI case at this point until it becomes an NCAA issue.
So has the FBI helped you guys with information at all?
I think just a pure exchange of information. They're limited in what they can obviously expose at this point while they're investigating.
Vince, how much merit do the reports have that Chris Mack is leading in this job?
Little today. I mean, I think that, as we haven't selected, so I don't think anything has any merit till we've got somebody signed up.
One more for anybody? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.